What's up? Welcome to Stat Guy Show,
How's it
episode
going?
number 6. Hey, Eric, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Doing good. Hey, this is episode number 6 of the Stat Guy Show. Eric Kvilhaug, is that how you pronounce that?
Yes, sir. Ish.
Eric K is my special guest. He drives the orange Chaos Vet. Saw him in No Prep King season 4, so I thought I'd bring him on. He's going to be competing in No Prep King season 6 this year. But before we get into all that, Eric, what I want to do, and because I don't know much about you, I wanted to get into like what kind of racing did you do before you got on Street Outlaws?
Well, I started locally probably 20 years ago and just kind of built a chassis car, a small tire chassis car, and just did local grudge racing stuff, test and tune, kind of turned into grudge racing, as it kind of became popular on the West Coast. Put that car away and was tuning on a bunch of cars for a while. And then finally just got back into a driver's seat, bought the Corvette from my buddy James after 9 years away from the car, and just hopped in a 380 car after 9 years and just went to it and just kept, it was a radial car. And then radial cars on the West Coast are kind of ridiculous. Our track prep is more no prep than anything, and converted it to a big tire car, raced it in Bodie stuff. And eventually it was just like, hey, let's just go national with this thing, and ended up at No Prep King. So, I mean, it's just, it started with a 10-second Vega, and, it was probably quarter mile at that point, or 10-second eighth mile. I mean, whatever it was, just got started in it, and it just progressed and progressed and progressed. I mean, it was a high 7-second car when I think I was still 20 years old, just cranking nitrous at it. It got to the point where it's like, to go any faster, I can't afford it. So we just put it away and bided my time. And most people probably don't know that I bought Roger Holder's old 2000 Camaro. It was, a radial car. I had that for a while, but I never raced it, and then sold it to buy this Corvette. So it was just kind of like, took a huge break and then just came out swinging. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like going slow. I just want to go fast and do some sketchy shit. And so now we've got, 4,000 horsepower No Prep Kings. And I think I found the sketchiest shit that's out there, and glad to be here.
Yeah. How did you get involved with Street Outlaws at first and No Prep Kings? How did that come about?
All through Bodie. I've been involved with either working on a car or racing Bodie's. A lot of his events are at Sacramento Raceway, which is, Northern California, where I live. I mean, I'm 45 minutes away from that racetrack. So I've known Bodie for probably close to 15 years now. And we've just been, doing, either, mostly racing each other or cars that are together. And then, last couple of years, we've been better friends and, got together for No Prep Kings to be on Team California.
Yeah, no. So in season 4, because the first race is the Race Your Way In. Was that your first race of No Prep Kings, or did you do futures?
No, that'll be a little bit of a controversial story with all the things that have happened recently. We'll call it the pre-Manny era. I did not race futures. Okay. I went straight into Race Your Way In Ohio for season 4. And I didn't have any No Prep Kings, Street Outlaws, any of that before. So that was my first time meeting any of the guys and getting in that race. And yeah, I mucked it up pretty good. But yeah, that was my first race in anything MPK.
Okay. And then, so that was your first time on TV as well. How was that experience? Not only are you racing in No Prep Kings, you're also being on TV for the first time.
Being on TV is not why I'm there. I'm just chasing better racing. Doing the local stuff. I mean, just the caliber of cars out here is catching up to No Prep Kings type cars, but it's not quite there yet. And I mean, I had a car that went, a 380 flat on radials, And then I come out here on big tires and kind of, going high 90s, low O's and winning races. And I'm like, I got to push myself, or, that's what I'm in it for. Pushing myself, competition, getting my ass kicked and figuring out how to do better. And, prep racing out here just wasn't exciting enough. And then I just didn't want to do pro mod. So we kind of it worked out that Bodie was putting a team together. And that's why we made the crossover.
Did you know did Bodie give you an idea of what to expect coming into season 4 and because that was the first year they went to, no, that was the second year they did 15 races. No, that was the first year they did 15 races.
That was the first year.
Yeah,
and it wasn't supposed to be 15. I think the season before it was 9.
9, yep.
And none of us were ready because it was scheduled, I think, for 13 to begin with. And It was just like, oh, hell, here we go. 13 races. Wow, that's a lot. Then they added 2 more, kind of 5 or 6 races in, they bumped up 2 more races, just like, oh, wow. All right, we're just going to keep doing this. And I wish I got to keep doing it, but yeah, that didn't work out.
Yeah, well, the first 10 races, man, season 4, let's talk about season 4, the first 10 races. You were dominant. Like, I remember not knowing who you were or Swanstrom was, because that was both of your first years. And I'm like, obviously Ryan and Kai are always fast, but I'm like, wow, this Eric K guy and Swanstrom, these 2 guys come out of nowhere because you haven't been on the show yet since then. And I was like, man, these guys, I mean, you were the points leader at one point. You won an event. You were in the finals for 2 other events. Man, talk about how you were feeling for those first 10 races of season 4.
Well, I'll start at the beginning. We went to Ohio for that first race, the race your way in, and high hopes. Okay, we got a big tire car. It's fast where we're at. Excuse me, let me back up. I'd never seen no prep before. Oh. I'd never been on a no prep track. I wasn't able to go to any of the other races. I'd never done any, non-TV no prep. I'd never been down a racetrack that didn't have glue on it. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to go figure this out. And we go to Ohio and we're like, wait a minute, this is like being at home. I mean, there's no glue on the track, but there's a couple burnouts and it gets pretty good. Not in the middle or the back, but the first 200 feet where it's, you kind of make it or break it on a big tire car in the first 200 feet. And we're like, okay, we know how to get down this is our normal stuff. And it's like, cool. I mean, all my tune-ups from home. I mean, I can run 380s on this type of prep. I mean, I think that'll put me in the mix. Awesome. And then go out there, make a test hit, and I think we blew up a blower. That blower had like 200 runs on it, and it'd been our workhorse forever. And it's like, oh, you're trying something new? Hasta la vista. I'm going out of here. And then, so we go up for the hit with Tony. I raced Tony McKinney. So my first time ever was racing Tony, and we didn't change the T-bolt clamp split. Obviously the blow. I mean, I usually wouldn't happen, but something in the mix, and we go up there, and I'm kicking Tony's ass like he's used to, and then it just, the car at 200 feet, the boost tube comes off, and I just get drove around. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I mean, we come out here, we got a fast car, we're doing real good locally, and then we bring this thing out here, and we just get our ass kicked in Ohio. Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, this isn't going to happen again. We got to turn this thing around. And okay, we go to Florida, don't even race my way in. Same thing. Valve cover stud pulled out against Larry Larson. I'm driving over my own oil, and Larry passes me in like the last 100 feet because I didn't lift, but I should have. And you're like, okay, I mean, I got a lucky chip. We literally drew a lucky chip to get in to the race. Yep. And then I just start taking people out. And I finally got beat with Lizzie Guest on me and beat me. And you're like, okay, holy shit, I got a contender. We really got a car that'll win. And we just kept building from there. And some adversity made us really step it up and look for things. And I mean, I don't know how many people pay attention to what my car sounds like on the trans brake on the line, but it sounds like it's at like 6,000 RPM. Well, that's because that's something we found. We are leaving at 6,000 RPM. And we picked up a lot when we went to New England. And that's when you saw me start like going to finals and winning. And I mean, we just started just working on the car and really, turned it around and started, we went to a final. I think we would have won the New Hampshire race if it hadn't rained. We had the car to beat. And then inexperience comes in. We go to our next race and just get our asses kicked on Friday, running the final with Cody Baker. And you're like, okay, makes us work harder. And that race, we went to the final. I blew it up, racing Kai, because I mean, that's what I do. I just bring it right to the edge, and I went too far and we couldn't race Ryan. So I was like, shit, rebuild the motor. And then we came back 2 races later and won a race. So it's just every time we get kicked in the ass, we figure out a way to then step it up and bring it again, and just keep up our game. And that's just how I've always ran it. How the team's always ran it is, if you get your ass kicked, figure it out and do better. And we kept doing that. So hopefully I'm going to keep that streak alive, because I really got my ass kicked in Tucson, and we've put the car back together, and it's a lot better car now. So hopefully, season 4 was really good until it wasn't. And just gotta keep doing better than the last time. Learn from mistakes and do better.
Yeah. So talk about your invitational win. I mean, you had gone to, like you said, you'd gone to a couple finals before that, but you finally got the win. I mean, did that in your head, that's like legitimize like that I'm one of the top dogs here?
Yeah, I mean, that is, you can't take that away from me.
Right.
I've got the win. I'm a select few people that have got that win. Think about that for a minute. When I won that season 4 race, Jerry Bird hadn't won one yet. Scott Taylor still hasn't won one. There's these guys that have killer cars, killer crews, really fast cars, and you still, I mean, it's not a gimme. I mean, I mean, that wasn't even the best performance I made. I mean, my car in New Hampshire was just, I think I had the fastest car there. And when we got to Cordova, we didn't. I don't even know if I was top 5 of the fastest cars that were there, but we just, powered our way through it and was able to pull the win out. A lot of people had to make some mistakes for us to get there. But that's No Prep Kings. I mean, it's just, you got to read the track. You got to keep your shit alive. And then still be fast.
Right.
But I got that win, and I'm in a pretty small group of people that have a win at No Prep Kings. And I mean, I want more, but I've got that one. I mean, if I go into season 6 and can't win a race, I mean, that'll be, just kick me and put me out to pasture. I'm done. I mean, even with as tough as it's going to be, if I can't win a race, then just stick a fork in me, get me out of there. So we spent a whole year perfecting this car, building it mostly in the shop, which doesn't win a race. But I mean, there's a lot of things that we learned and did so that we can come out and win again.
Yeah. And then, so 10 weeks in, you win a race, and as everybody knows, you had the crash. We don't have to get into the crash itself too much, but what exactly went wrong on that run? If you want to talk about that.
Let me back up for a second. You get your ass kicked, and because it's part of the crash, we blew the torque converter up the next pass or 2 passes after the win. We get to Virginia, something's weird. We're on this big high, like, okay, we won the race. Oh, the car was a little slow. It wasn't that bad. Well, then the second pass, the torque converter blew up in first round, and we went out first round for the first time. So we're like, okay, we just got our ass kicked. We got to do something. We don't have time to do anything by Ohio. Motorhome blew up on the way to Ohio, so I had to get someone else to tow me there, or tow the trailer. Idaho, Kai kicked my ass, just out of power, because in the middle of that, we're like, okay.
Oh, I think I lost you. I think I lost him. Yeah, I think I just lost him. Damn it. See if he can log out and come back in. Sorry, everybody. We're going to try to get Eric K back in here. Looks like his stuff froze up. Awesome internet in a small town. Here we go. We're going to get him right back in here.
No warning. It just took off on me.
You saw?
No, that I don't know what it was. It's still, my internet didn't go out or anything. It didn't say anything. It just, I mean, I live out in the country. I mean, there's no such thing as Comcast or AT&T or whatever, fiber internet, coax internet. No, I got some satellite dish that bounces off a mountain somewhere that's run by a guy in his basement. And when I say that, I'm not kidding. I mean, literally, the guy's got a basement and he runs it out of his basement. Julio, the internet guy, and that's what we've got out here. And then cell phones aren't that fast either.
I'll give you that. You came back really fast. That was impressive.
Okay. Yeah, that was the frantic, just press.
All right, so the crash happened. We were in the middle of explaining why it happened.
So we bumped the compression in the motor. This is coming into Tucson. We bumped the compression in the motor. We've got a new torque converter because the other one exploded. And I mean, every torque converter is a little different. So we're like, okay, we've got this thing. We sped the blower up. We did everything. We're okay. I was like, we need a couple more 100 horsepower. Converter needs to be a little tighter, all this stuff. And there's no time to test because I mean, Jim Hughes towed my stacker down there. We're at my, at my home shop in Northern California, thrashing this motor together with different pistons, doing all the mechanic work, which we didn't even have the car because, Jim drug it down to Tucson for us, skipping my home shop. So we show up down there in Tucson and it's been raining all day, on and off. And we just didn't get any test time. We made, one 200-foot shutdown hit on Friday night after changing the motor. I'm like, okay, it ran really good to 200 feet. It's fast. Everything's good. Go into Saturday in eliminations. Round one, I didn't run, round one rained out at the very end and they sent us back. So I didn't make a pass first round. And second round is when I crashed the car and I was supposed to be the second one to go down after a big rainstorm. And Sean Murder Nova's right in front of me. It's like, okay, he went down. My radio failed, so I couldn't ask if he made a clean pass or not, and I couldn't see. But he won the race. I'm like, okay, he had to make a clean hit. The track, if Sean got down the racetrack clean and no one was hooting and hollering, the track was probably pretty good because he's all over the damn place. So I'm like, okay, the track's legit. Sean's got 95 PSI out the back. We're good. Leave the tune-up alone. It's my first hit with all this extra power, and the car's just way too hot, way too fast. And we got out there at that transition on that wet track. And it's just, we thought it broke an axle, did something. It just shot me into the wall. And the rest, crash, fire, pinned up against the wall. I'm an old motocross guy. That's why I race cars, is I'm all screwed up for motorcycles. And there's not much you can crash in a car and be more hurt than racing motocross, except catching on fire. And what's the worst thing you can do? I told my wife, crash, get knocked out, pinned up against the left wall, on fire. I wasn't knocked out, but I did everything else. And it sucked. Luckily visor down, so I still have a face. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty bad. So
yeah. What was the mental challenge there? Because you're doing so good, right? It's your first year doing so good. You see the car, you just had to crash. It's a long drive home. What was your mental state at that point?
Again, old motorcycle racer, so crashing and torching your shit's kind of normal. The money thing was the worst part, knowing that I couldn't afford to fix the car and come back out.
Yeah.
And I had plenty of cars to borrow, but nobody wants to let you borrow a car without the clause of, you crash it again, like you got to fix it. And I'm like, that's cool and all, but I can't afford to fix it.
Yeah.
So I just had to step away. And I mean, I had offers to drive a bunch of cars that didn't have the clause in it, but they weren't competitive.
Okay.
And I mean, being going to all these races and spending this money and, going out first round, maybe make a second round here or there, it was like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to be a first round loser,
Right.
especially how I'd done before that. So we just said, you know what, we're going to regroup, make the first race at season 5, and just come and get it again. And it just took a little longer to rebuild the car than I planned on. But I mean, mental state was, I was already trying to find a car for Denver. I think it was 2 weeks away was the Denver race. I was like, all right, let's find a car. I mean, I wanted to get right back in. I mean, if they would have let me borrow a car that night, because I won the round. I mean, if I could have, entered my truck, my motorhome, I would have pulled up in my 1-800 RV rental that I had since my motorhome was blown up in Laramie. I would have brought the rental motorhome down there and Drew Kai Kelly, who I was tied with at that point. I would have raced him in the motorhome. I mean, I would have guessed the shit out of him and drove over to his lane and done anything I could have done to sketch that fool out and take that win from him in a motorhome. But he just couldn't, there was no feasible way to come back and start winning that season. So we just kind of left it alone.
Yeah. So you had planned how you mentioned that you were actually going to try to get there for the first race of season 5.
Parts killed me for season 5. We made a bunch of changes to the car and just parts availability. What I wanted to do, I didn't want to come out with the same car. I had a bunch of parts. I mean, I did, all of season 4 was with 2-speed transmissions. We built the car around racing on like greasy local type tracks, and the tracks just get so good by the end of Saturday. We're like, okay, we got to make some changes. We got to get some weight moved in the car. Transmissions were different, rear ends different. We did something really radical with rear wheels, and we just didn't have it together for the first 2 races. And once it wasn't, for the first 2 races, and there was no chance of winning a championship at that point, we just kind of sat back, looked at it. Right in the middle of there, I bought out one of my competitors in my regular business, and it was like, you know what, I think we're gonna have to take a step back, make some money, make the car better than it was before, and really try to come out for the last half of the season and show that we can still race and do really well. And the parts just kept getting away from us, and I didn't want to go back to what I had or vendors that I'd used before. I wanted something different, something better.
Yeah.
Without just buying brand new billet everything. 2 new Proline engines, billet Liberties. I mean, it's not in my budget. So we try to do more with less, and sometimes it takes a little while to either find the deals or find the manufacturers that'll work with you. And we just missed the whole season. It just got away from me, and nobody's fault but my own and my economics, and we missed it. So we ended up racing the car locally the same weekend as Texas.
Oh, okay. You brought it out. Yeah. The very end of the season.
So, and I would have loved to even just hotshot that thing to Texas and race that. But when I saw the rain in the forecast, I was like, nope, me and rain don't get along. I ran 2 rain races last year, and I almost crashed at both of them. So it rained really hard in Georgia. And I think it was, I can't remember if I think it was second round again, Tony McKinney. And I took a bunch out of it, but it's still, racing on a wet, unprepped track. The only way you can gain experience is to do it. It rains, you're at the local racetrack and it starts raining. You're like, okay, put it in the trailer. We're done. It's not going to be dry in an hour or 2 hours. And then no prep kings, they're like, cool, we're going to brush this thing for 15 minutes and send you down it. It's like, you're going to do what? When we're in Georgia, it was like, yeah, you're kidding, right? You're going to send us down this. We're walking down it going, this is the stickiest, not sticky track we've ever been on. It's sticky with your shoe. And then, but what your shoe feels isn't really what the tire is going to be on. and you kick the track and you're like, oh shit, it goes from sticky to snot instantly. And we took as much power as we'd ever taken out of the car, and it still just went towards the wall. I was like, but pair shoots out, saved it, learned from there. We're like, okay, cool, racing in there, and then we came back and did better. And but then Tucson was the second time racing in the rain, and I mean, we took power out of it. We just didn't know how much more that car was going to make with all the changes we made. And it bit us in the ass not having a bunch of no prep experience.
Right.
So racing in the rain is something that I definitely did not want to bring. It's not a brand new car because I kept a few parts, but for the most part, it might as well be a brand new car with what we did to it. And bringing that out to a race that was ran right after rain or during rain on day one. Would have been good, but could have been really bad too. Because locally, car's fast.
Yeah.
Right out of the box with some problems, it was as fast as it was 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, nice.
So
season 6, you're preparing for, obviously. You saw how the screw blowers ran last year, how the Pro Chargers ran last year. And are you sticking with the Pro Charger for this year?
I am. I doubled down, put a bigger Pro Charger on. I didn't put the Ryan Martin special, but I've got the 140.1 that most of the guys were running. Kayla, Mike Bowman, I think Bodie Jr. had one at the end. I mean, it was Scott Taylor ran it most of the year. So the normal big blower is what I have for this year. I mean, the rules are going to come out, and who knows? I didn't buy the 144 that Ryan was running, and I'm just hoping that the rules get made, where the 141 is a favored blower. But I'm not going anywhere. I'd love to be able to rebuild the car. There's a lot of combinations that are really interesting. Jim Howe posted a picture of his Camaro with the roots on it. And I mean, I'm a light car guy. I like lighter cars, get to 60, really get the car moving without, I don't need to have a 200 mile an hour back half to win at No Prep Kings. I'll take a lightweight car, but for me, that would be a completely different engine program, different engine, different blower, different everything. And I mean, that's a lot of learning curve, and parts and everything that, again, my budget just doesn't allow for. I mean, I can go out there with a combo that I know, a car that I'm getting to learn and kind of know from before, and run at the top or run close to it with what I've got. I mean, if I'm at a little bit of disadvantage, it'll be better than going out with a combo I have no idea what it's going to do, where it's going to do it, and have another Tucson incident where I've got to race in the rain and I don't know how to take enough power out of a roots car, turbo car, nitrous car, whatever it is. There's a lot of really interesting looking combinations in last year's rules that weren't Pro Charger. Because, I mean, they just, we got Ryan Martin and got slammed, and who knows what season 6 is going to be for rules. I mean, somebody knows, but it's not me.
Yeah. I mean, so season 4 is when we first kind of started to see newer, faster cars. Because the first 3 seasons, you always had Ryan, Lizzie, Kai, those guys there. But your first year with you and Swanstrom and Robin Roberts did really well that year. Cody Baker won a race. That was really tough competition. But I would say this past year was the toughest competition we've seen yet.
By far. Oh, I mean,
talk about that.
When I watched season 5, and I went to Idaho and watched it in person, and I mean, you can't tell the cars are faster, but they don't need to be much faster, because I mean, when a 1/10 of a second is roughly a car length, I mean, it's hard to see a 1/10 of a second watching from the starting line, watching from the fan or from the stands, or even on TV, whatever you want. It's hard to tell. I mean, but a 1/10 is a car length. These races are being won by feet or inches, or your pecker extender is too tall and you go over the beams instead of through them. I mean, right. Brandon got robbed on that, but not robbed by the track, robbed by having an old Nova that hikes the nose because the aero is so bad. I mean, it's just crazy how close these cars are running. And it's like they're talking about, whether they adjust the rules or don't adjust the rules. And I mean, you actually look at, who's winning, who's losing, how much they're winning by. Cutting a light has got to be as big of anything now as it ever has been. I mean, when you're beating someone by 6 inches, I mean, you still have to let go of the button. You still have to drive the car. You still have to tune the car. I mean, 50 pounds here, 50 pounds there on the combination is not going to make that big of a change. Ryan is still going to do really well. Jim is still going to do really well. I don't know if he'll be as consistent as Ryan because Ryan's just, I mean, he's got that consistency dialed in. And I mean, I don't know what happened the last half of the year, but I mean, if he just goes and does what he does, he's hard to beat. I mean, he's good at what he does. There's a lot of guys that are good at what they do, but it's so tight now where it's, a foot or 2 feet. And that's why we rebuilt the whole car and missed season 5 and picked a bunch of parts and changed a bunch of stuff. Cause I mean, we're chasing feet now. I mean, you have to let go of a button on a light that doesn't actually come. So you're anticipating, not anticipating, guessing, not guessing, thinking what the other guy is going to do, and then running to 660 feet with, 3,500 to 4,500 horsepower. And the difference is 6 inches. I mean, from a science standpoint, I mean, I like data. I like science, physics. I like the whole math of racing. All that to come together with all these races that are won by a foot. That's nuts to me. I mean, it's hard to even think about how you could engineer a system that works like this, but it's happening.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, how do we make sure we're the guy that's a foot ahead instead of a foot behind?
Mm-hmm. Eric, since you've been on the show since the beginning, I've noticed you definitely have confidence about yourself, no matter what.
Bullshit or not. Yes, sir. All the time.
Hell yeah. And so with that confidence, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, you expect this year in season 6 to win a race or win multiple races and have a chance at the championship.
I'm going to win every single race. Why would I do this if my plan is to win 15 races?
Nice.
Why would I go into this going, I really hope to win one? No, I said I better win one or I shouldn't be doing this. No, I want to, I'm going to, I will win every single race.
Hell yeah.
And if that's not your mentality, you've already lost.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, Ryan thinks the same thing. Kai thinks the same thing. Everybody does. We're all going in. I'm going there to win every single race. It also helps that pays for it. So, I mean, I kind of have to win every single race.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, if you want, Eric, we're going to take a couple of questions from fans if they have any. So if you got any questions, post them below. I will put them on the screen. While we're waiting for that, I got a couple more questions for you. Is there anybody that when you line up against them, you get a little more jacked up than anybody else that you really want to? I know you want to beat everybody, but is there anybody where you're like, I need to beat this motherfucker this time? Like, this is it.
Ryan is always that guy that you don't want to lose to. I mean, he's been put up on this pedestal for good reason, but he's still up on a pedestal, and we just don't want to lose to Ryan. If I can beat Ryan, I think I can beat anybody. And I mean, I don't know if that's really the right mentality anymore. I guess we'll see how the rules shake out and everything, but Ryan and I'll just go ahead and throw Swanstrom up there too. I don't want to lose to him. I haven't lost to him. We haven't raced before. But we both come from you played in the same grudge arena, different coasts, but we kind of know some of the same people. And I mean, some our crew will talk shit to each other. There's been some $100 bets and things. And the only time I lined up against him was in Cordova, the race I won, but he scattered the blower and the burnout. So we didn't race. So it never happened. We don't know what would happen. It might've worked out for me because my car was a turd that weekend. Converter was going away and we didn't know it. I mean, right after we won that race, it blew up. So we figured it out. But I mean, if he wouldn't have ate the blower and Jerry wouldn't have almost hit the wall and all this other stuff, I mean, who knows what would have happened? I might have been a three-time finalist or not.
Yeah.
But those two. Other than that, I just want to kick everybody's ass.
Yeah.
But that's you know what? I got to put one more on there. Sean Murder Nova. Every time. That guy and I had a little bit of a disagreement at in a race about a cone, and I got robbed. That is the only time all year I just plain got robbed on that. So I'll put Sean on the list too.
Okay. We got a question here. What are your thoughts on Team California? Team California was really strong last year. You're coming back. What do you guys? You got a lot of fast cars on Team Cali for next year.
I mean, Team California's, up and coming for sure. I mean, I still have the sole win for the team. Last year definitely picked it up and did better. Season 6 is going to be a completely different team. Same faces, but oh shit, there are some cars on this team now. I've got a brand new car. Giuseppe's got a brand, it's the Gucci car still, but now it's not a turbo car anymore. It's got really, really nice parts in that car now. They've really fixed it up where it's got a good combination. Couple other guys have, Brandon's got a new car. And now we've got months and months to figure them out. I mean, Team California is stacked with the right stuff, the right people. A lot of crew members have been brought on board to make sure things happen right with some of my teammates.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really nice hardware on Team California now, and you're going to see us doing really well moving forward. Every year season 3, Giuseppe did okay, started off really well. I did really well in season 4 until I didn't. Like you said last year, so more and more guys, they just keep getting better and better. I think season 6 is a year where you're going to see Team California consistently in the semifinals or better every race.
That's awesome. Stephen Cook has a question. Are you getting any new sponsors you didn't have 2 years ago?
Not as many as I'd hoped. It's hard to take a year off and pick sponsors up. We did sign Redline Oil recently, and that's a really nice one for us. They're providing some good help for us. And then we've brought some partners back on that are helping us, like Pro Chargers helping us again. Cameron's Torque Converter Service is helping us again. And then, that's for help. I mean, we've got a lot of great companies that help us like everybody else that, we get deals on, fast turn. I mean, anything right now, it's like, almost like, hey, put me to the front of the line and we're going to call this a sponsorship. we just need to get parts. It's almost a sponsorship just to be able to get the stuff now.
It's crazy.
It's crazy what we have to do just to source the stuff to do this.
Gotcha. I got a question for you. Nothing to do with racing. So when you're not racing, when you're not working on your car, getting it ready, what do you like to do in your free time?
Work.
What do you do for work?
Water well drilling and water pumps. And it's a 6-day-a-week job, and it's what pays for racing. So, we've got side-by-sides, and we just went to the snow and try to do some stuff with the kids. But for the most part, it's go to work and go race. So that's I see that my wife is commenting right now. So I'm sure she'll pipe up here in a second with, he's not lying. So.
So have you raced? Were you doing motocross when you were a kid? Is that when you started?
Up until 19 years old, when I broke my back and pulled all the muscles in my back, and it's how I got into car racing. Had to do something with a cage so I could still walk. They said, you crash like that again, you won't walk. So I just stopped racing motorcycles and figured, okay, well, cars have cages in them. We'll go race cars instead.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up here.
Nice. Did you play any sports when you were younger, in high school or anything?
Tennis, baseball, and soccer. A little bit of everything.
Were you any good at any of them?
I wasn't fast enough for soccer. I was okay at tennis and baseball. Probably that like 11, 12 years old, where you got to be fast to play. Yeah, wasn't any good at that anymore.
Got you. We talked about this before we got on here, but just comment on the first. So far, we've seen the first 5 races released for this.
No, this is a really simple. This is a really simple one. No, not ready. Not even close. Mentally, emotionally, financially, all of it. No. I mean, I'm looking at that schedule just like, oh God. I mean, not. I mean, I've got a business. I've got 3 guys right now. We're about to move shops and we're trying to scale and do some bigger work and do all this stuff. And I'm going, holy shit, they just dropped 5 races in a row in the busiest time of my work time. I'm like,
Yeah.
how? I mean, we're going to figure it out. I mean, I don't know how we're going to figure it out, but we'll figure it out. But it's nuts. That's all you can say is it's just like the crazy season starts June. Just June is just going to be the black hole of pistons and diesel and airfare and whatever else it takes to get it done. And I mean, I'm like I'm the red eye guy. I mean, I get on a plane Thursday night at 10 p.m. or I go to work all day Thursday, hopefully line out Friday's work and Saturday's work, and then hop on a plane at 10 p.m. on a Thursday, show up at the racetrack at 9, 10 a.m. just bloodshot, ready to race. And then Sunday fly home at the earliest I can, because I mean I think every single flight on Sunday was canceled or moved or a different airline, so I never got home until midnight on Sunday. And then work on Monday. I mean that 5 in a row is just. I mean you're not alive at the end of that.
Yeah, welcome back, Eric.
Yeah, welcome back. It's like, hey, welcome back. Here's 5 in a row. Let's do it.
Yeah,
I mean, doing this professionally, it's hard enough to stay on the road for 5 weeks, get all your stuff maintained. I mean, I'll have to stay on the road here or there, but for the most part, I got to fly back and go to work. So, I mean, a lot of people are, oh, you all get paid. No, we don't. We don't get paid. I mean, most people don't get paid. So a lot of people still don't believe that or know that, but I mean, I get paid $0 to do this. This is all because I'm chasing competition, chasing this killer racing. I mean, I'm not doing this to get my face on TV. I mean, it's nice to be able to pick up some sponsors and things like that, but I mean, this is just purely driven on trying to find the nuttiest competition I can. Right. That's not all about cubic dollars. I mean, this is about cubic dollars, but this isn't radio racing or NHRA Pro Mod or anything like that, where, I mean, a couple extra $100,000 and you can be faster. I mean, this is just the way that No Prep Kings is, with the tracks being different and all the different power adders. I mean, you still have a lower budget team like me and my guys. You still have a shot at.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I go to NHRA Pro Mod, I'd get destroyed over and over and over again. Because you just don't have the nicest stuff available. I mean, my 2 engines are from 2017. I mean, I have the 2 original Proline Hemi Pro Charger development engines that came with the car I bought for my buddy James. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, these things got wore out on Proline's dyno when they were figuring out how to run a Pro Charger. I mean, it seems like an eon ago. And it kind of was in racing. I mean, 2017 to now, I mean, it's been 6 years. I mean, I think I have like an MH2 or something, and now they've got MH7s coming out. I mean, there's 5 generations of motors nicer than mine.
Wow.
But that's crazy. No Prep Kings, you can still make it work. I mean, being down 100 or 200 horsepower isn't as much of an impediment when you can't always use it.
Yeah, true. Very true. Well, hey, Eric, I don't want to keep you all night. But first off, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, you were awesome. Season 4, I had my eye on you. I was like, man, you and Swan that year, man, you guys were killing it. And I'm so excited you're coming back. I saw a post a couple months ago that you were definitely coming back and you were working on your car. So I was like, I gotta get in touch with this guy and see if I might get him on the show. So thank you so much for coming on.
We're coming back, and I'm gonna win all 15, and that's all there is to it. Thanks for having me on this.
Hell yeah, man, Eric. Take it easy.
Thank you. Good night.